Look at that. That is, look at how much the color changed from out there to in here. It's very jelly-like. I mean, this is starting to look like jam, right? So Argentine Chori Pan.
Oh my gosh, that smells so good.
Yes.
I could just sit and do that all day. It's so good.
All right, so we've taken our garlic and we're getting a little char on that, warming it up. We have a pound of bacon ready to go on. We're gonna make some Plowboys bacon jam, bacon onion jam. So we got a nice sizzle. We're just gonna cook this down. And the nice thing about the way this is set up is we can retain our grease. And as we render this down, we're gonna retain that grease in a pool and we're gonna cook our onions in it as the next step. That garlic is taken off. You can smell.
Oh yeah, that smell-o-vision, the bacon, the garlic.
Between the bacon and the garlic, wait till we get the onions on here. And because this thing is so thick, it's retaining that heat. It's super hot, as you can see, but it's not scorching this bacon. The amount of control that you have is pretty incredible, really. And this is my first time cooking on it, so this is like my first experience, and I'm super impressed with the amount of control you have. Most of the time when we're cooking like this, you're cooking low and slow and you're closing the lid. Like, the worst thing you can do is give something oxygen and it's gonna take off on you. But the way this is set up, it's amazing. And it rolls so quickly without it being a billion degrees and scorching this to the point where it's not even usable. That's amazing. Once we're done cooking the bacon, let's slide everything over just a little bit so we can keep our bacon hot over here without cooking it more. And we can utilize the grease that's built up down here for our onions and our jalapenos. So we're gonna make a spicy bacon onion jam. We've got a couple of big jalapenos we've thrown in there, and there's a couple of secret ingredients that are coming later. All right, our bacon's cooked down. I still want it to keep going, but we've rendered a lot of really nice bacon fat here, and it's time to bring the onions and a couple of jalapenos to the party. These were two very big jalapenos. I de-seeded them mostly and took the ribs out so they're not as hot, but I left some of that in because I do want a little heat here. We're gonna add a lot of sugar to this to make it a jam. So this much heat doesn't bother me because I'm gonna offset it in the final dish. This was a very large whole white sweet onion. And so we're just gonna put all this down into the grease. So we've got a pound of bacon. We've probably got a 2-pound onion, 2 very, very large jalapenos, and we're gonna incorporate this at some point too. We wanna have just a lot of different flavors, textures going on. The bacon grease is getting incorporated into the onion, and we're gonna reduce this down until it's translucent. And we don't want it to go too fast because we don't want to fry the onion. And so we're really cooking, even though our smoker is at about 400 degrees, we're really cooking over a medium heat on this plancha, and that's exactly what we want. And this is my first time cooking on a Smokeslinger, but what I'm seeing is, don't be afraid of the fire. Don't be afraid of building a sufficient fire that's lasting us through multiple rounds of cooking. If we're doing an asado, it is an all-day event. You want something that's gonna keep cooking all day long and keep the party going. You don't wanna be in here having to relight, remanage coals. So we have a really, really nice fire going, but we're managing like a medium heat. Now our bacon's looking really nice.
Yes, it is.
Now we're getting some crispy. So now I'm gonna move some of this up over here because I don't want it to get too crispy. All right, we're gonna take this and set it off a little bit and let it cool just a little bit because we're about ready to press it into our onion mix here. That is very, very soft. Watch this press out. There is some firmness to it, but we're gonna put the whole thing in.
That's a wonderful extruder.
There's a little cleaner offer on there.
A little cleaner offer. Now, how does that smell? And we waited to put the garlic in because we don't want the garlic to burn. And so our onions were a little ways down the road. Oh my gosh, it has opened up. That garlic has opened up a lot. Some of these are really getting translucent. Some of them are a little white yet. So we're just gonna keep working them until they're all the same color. Okay, so our brown sugar got a little dry, but that's okay. It's gonna melt down here pretty quickly.
Sure.
So we're adding about 2 cups of brown sugar. And because we're still cooking over a pretty medium heat, we're not burning that sugar. So now we're getting a lot of caramelization going with the sugar, adding the molasses notes, and starting to add more sweetness to the party. We've had a lot of savory. Now we're bringing in the sweet. So look at all that. It's starting to
Yes.
get like caramel.
Is that whiskey?
Yep. All right, so our brown sugar is incorporated. We're starting to see like literally caramel. This is caramelization at its finest. And now we're gonna add a vanilla note. This is Jack Daniel's. This is Black Label Old No. 7. Cooking with bourbon, the flavor notes that you get out of a bourbon is really, really similar to vanilla. By adding bourbon to this, we're gonna add some depth. We're gonna add some of the vanilla note.
Oh, yeah.
We're also deglazing the sugars
Yes.
and the onions, and we're gonna bring our bacon back in. And now I can just pull this up and work it down here. All the alcohol is gonna render off here, but look at how thick. We've got one more ingredient left to go, but we're gonna sit and let this just work down, and as it renders, it's going to thicken, it's going to incorporate flavors, it's going to meld, it's going to soften.
What are you looking for? How do we know when we're at that point that it's correct?
I want it to be jam like. This is a bacon onion pepper jam, so we want it to be jelly like. I want a lot of this liquid to be gone. The flavor of all this liquid, part of the liquid is from the onions, part of it is the bacon grease, part of it is the sugar, and then the bourbon on top of that. So all of the moisture is going to condense down, all those flavors are going to come together and intensify. We haven't added any seasoning yet. So we're gonna take Plowboys Bovine Bold, and this is our beef seasoning. This is a very Kansas City style beef seasoning. It's savory. It's got a lot of bold notes to it, and it's gonna work really well to bring in a little bit more savory element to this, because we want a balance of savory and sweet. Wow, smell that. You can smell that seasoning come out. This has a brown sugar base instead of a white sugar base, so it works really well with this, and it's still not where I want it yet. I want to reduce this down probably again by half. All right, now the last ingredient. So as I've made this at home, I made some recently for some smash burgers, and I was adding maple syrup to it. And I thought, why am I adding maple syrup as my sweetener when I have a sweet barbecue sauce? And why not make this fully barbecue? And so we have the En Fuego sauce. So even though it says En Fuego, it's got a little chipotle in it. I love chipotle. There's a lot of chipotle in my products. It's a smoked jalapeno. It's a smoked pepper. And if I'm a barbecue guy, I like anything smoked. So this is actually a sweet sauce that has added a little spice to it. It's not hot. And the chipotle adds more spice and depth of flavor than it does heat. But because it's a sweet sauce, I'm using this in replace of the maple syrup. It's high sugar, no high fructose corn syrup in it. There's also some tomato in it, obviously, and some vinegar in it, obviously. So
Goodness gracious.
I'm adding some vinegar, some acid. I'm adding some tomato. So now this is a bit of a tomato jam as well. And this is gonna reduce a lot. So I'm just gonna spread it out and let the plancha do its work.
Who's got a piece of bread? I just want to dip it in.
So it's starting to reduce a little bit more. I'm watching the edges so that I can pull some of the liquid back in, because the liquid has flavor in it. I don't want that to just like get stuck on the grill. But I'm also making sure that these pieces, like the veg here on the outside, are getting incorporated back in so that everything's cooking, again, evenly. Look how thick that's getting.
I'm about to find something out. We're going in with the surgical gloves. Yeah, we're going with the surgical gloves. It's too tempting. We got a little bacon in there. Look at this. Look, I got the jalapeno. I got the bacon. I got to know what I'm eating, what you're making here. I'm sure it's in my mustache. Oh my God. Todd.
Oh my God.
Todd.
Give me that. Give me that. Look at how dark and concentrated all that liquid is. It'll be interesting to go back and look at this when we started with the white onion. And I mean, this is starting to look like jam, right?
Yeah.
It's like clinging to this spatula.
And as it cools off, it'll
thicken.
really begin to condense, thicken up, and I'm sure it'll be spreadable.
So I think we're good, because once this cools, it's going to thicken up like you said. So I'm happy with this. That onion and garlic, it smells amazing. It's going to eat bacon, onion. Okay, we have a tri-tip from Argentina. There are more cattle than there are people. It's a country of about 40 to 45 million people, and I believe there's closer to 100 million cattle.
Wow.
In Argentina. So per capita, there are more cattle than there are people. They eat more beef than anywhere in the world. We're just taking off a little bit of the extra fat. There's a little silver skin right here we're gonna take off. All right, so that's about all the cleanup we're gonna do. All right, we're gonna season this and put it on indirect, and we're gonna reverse sear this. So we're gonna get it up to temperature, probably about 135 degrees, I think. And then we're gonna sear it directly over top of the coals. Here we're putting this on as well. It looks just like a regular pork sausage you would find here in the States, but this is Argentine chorizo. It's different than like the Latin American chorizo, different than a Mexican chorizo. A Mexican chorizo is spicy. It's made with a lot of peppers. This in Argentina is made with red wine or white wine, usually a Malbec or a Torrentes, which is their national white grape. And it's going to be more savory. It's not going to be spicy. So this is street food in Argentina. You would get this on bread, a chorizo on bread, and they call it a chori pan. So we're going to make some chori pan today. Chori for chorizo, pan is the Spanish word for bread. And this is street food delicacy in Argentina. You would get this with maybe some vegetables on it. You would definitely get it with some chimichurri. So we're going to take our bovine bowl. And this is where the Kansas City influence is going to come in. This is not how they would season things in Argentina. In Argentina, they may not season it at all, or they might just put a little bit of salt, typically sea salt, on there and throw it on the grill. And they're going to cook it really hot, really fast. It's going to be cooked to a done or maybe even well done. It is not going to have any rareness to it or medium to it at all. We're going to see how this performs. I'm sitting here patting it and flipping it. Whenever you're applying rub, this is product that's been dehydrated. It's salt and sugar, but it's also got dehydrated vegetables in it. It's got chilies, paprika, it's got garlic, onion, all of that has been dehydrated and then granulated. And so what we want to do is let the salt and the sugar draw out some of the moisture from the meat and rehydrate some of those seasonings. You can see it's starting to get a little wet. Even my board is getting a little wet. This is from the salt and sugar starting to pull out some of the moisture from the surface. It'll actually pull some of that seasoning back in. But what we're doing is just making sure the seasoning is making contact. Bovine has a brown sugar instead of white sugar. There's black pepper. So there's going to be some parts of this rub that are going to dissolve with the liquid from the meat. Those are called water soluble. Sugar, salt, that's all going to dissolve. But the black pepper, the red peppers, like a chipotle, a cayenne, those are not water soluble. So we'll continue to see those even when the product's fully cooked. Those non-water soluble ingredients are going to show up. So most of my seasoning's no longer dry. I see a couple areas here where I just want to apply a little more seasoning. I'm going to pat it. All I'm doing is making sure that the seasoning's making contact. I'm not trying to rub it and massage it and all that. I just want to make sure it's making contact. And if I see something that's dry, I'm just patting it. I don't need to let this sit overnight or in the fridge or for an hour or just in a few minutes you can see I'm ready to cook. So there we go. Argentinian tri-tip, grass-fed. We're going to put it on the Smokeslinger with a little Kansas City beef rub from Plowboys, and we're going to see what we think. All right, so we've got tri-tip here. It's been off on the cooler side, off the direct heat. We've got a pretty good little firmness here and nice crust built on it. And so now we're gonna cowboy it up. So the color that we're seeing on there is from the bovine bold and some of that paprika and the seasoning on there. So we got a really nice color. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna sear this right on the coals. On caveman style.
Oh, you can smell it.
Really, really nice sear. There we go. All right.
Talk about the charcoal and why it's not a big deal.
Why is it not a big deal?
Because they put it in you when you get poisoned.
So I like just to get some of the ash off. We always want to rest a big cut like this to let everything just kind of chill back out, let the juices come back and distribute. So by letting it rest, we're letting everything just kind of chill and find its way back out into those meat fibers, and then it won't purge out as bad and will retain a lot more moisture. So letting it rest is really important. We're probably gonna let this sit here for 15, 20 minutes and then cut into it. Look at that. That is, look at how much the color changed from out there to in here.
Oh my gosh, that smells so good.
Okay, so this is our Chori Pan. This is a Argentinian chorizo, which is different than like a Mexican chorizo. It's not as spicy. This is more savory, and they're using white wine or red wine in it as well. So this is very traditional street food, empanadas and chori pan, or chorizo on bread, chori pan. Very, very classic Argentina. And so we're gonna dress these a couple of different ways. This is how I had my first chori pan in Argentina. Some marinated red peppers, and you can get them dressed different ways down there. I had a little onion. This is what we would do in barbecue in North America. We'd throw a little pickled red onion on that. And then, of course, you have to have the chimichurri. So we got a little of Alfragone's chimichurri, red wine vinegar, extra virgin olive oil, a little bit of lemon juice, and this is a traditional chori pan the way I had chori pan. The other one we're gonna do is with the Enfuego and bovine bold pepper onion jam with a little jalapeno. And as we cooked it, we saw everything kind of meld together and all of the colors. It's become very jelly-like. All of that was onion and jalapeno and bacon and bourbon, barbecue sauce. So Argentinian chori pan.
Look at those fabulous colors.
It smells amazing.
Cheers.
Cheers. Gotta hunch it.
Is it silly?
It's ridiculous.
I can feel it through the camera.
So the first thing I get is the sausage. The sausage itself has a lot of flavor. It's very savory. You can taste the pork. It's got a good snap on the skin. But the red onion, the vinegar of the red onion, really offsets the fattiness of the chori pan.
This is a great sausage.
It's a great sausage.
Yeah.
That's what we got here. This is intense. It's a completely different way of having a sausage and pepper sandwich. A chori pan, but the way that you layered it, is completely takes it to another level.
Now we get to see what the Plowboy bacon jam is all about. First of all, I mean,
Seriously.
I'm so excited. You know, it's kind of like my wedding night. Not really sure what I'm doing. I'm just glad I'm here.
I'm really excited about this. Now I got to compare and contrast what I just had to this amazing bacon jam that he made.
So look at how juicy the sausage is. Look how much moisture is in there. This is going to be more sweet and savory, and there's not a lot of acid in this because we're not using the chimi, we're not using the marinated onions or the pickled onions, and so there's going to be less acid and more sweet and savory. So it's going to be a different bite for sure. I'm not mad at it at all.
This is so worth the wait. So, yes, we still have the snapping of the skin and all those delicious flavors inside of this. But what this man has created with this bacon jam, infusing the bacon, the jalapenos, the brown sugar, the onions, and then combining that.
Jack.
Yeah. This is the greatest bite of fusion food. Taking South America and North America and combining them together.
So the sweetness, it's really sweet, but there's a depth to it because we're using the barbecue sauce and we're using the vanilla flavors out of the bourbon.
I forgot about that.
We're using the dark brown sugar. Like there's a depth to the sweetness. It's just so, I mean, it's candied and delicious. All right, we've got our tri-tip. This is Argentinian Angus, and it's been resting here for a little while. And we're gonna come in here and start taking some cuts. This was seasoned with Plowboys Bovine Bold. As you can see, it's very juicy. We did a reverse sear. We started off outside of the fire, and then we finished it right over the coals. And so as you can see, it's very, very tender. This is grass-fed beef. It's not grain finished. And with Argentina in the Pampas area, they're able to graze all year long. So they're typically not feeding a lot of hay, and they're able to eat fresh grass most of the year long, if not all year long. So some Argentine Angus, and we can dress this any way we want. We can try it like this. We can add a little chimichurri. We've got some roasted red peppers there. All kinds of options to dress our bite. Let's go.
Perfect.
It is perfect. It's really, really well cooked. I do say so myself.
Perfectly cooked.
It's really good.
Great smoky flavor. The rub on there really complements this meat well.
So now if we add a little bit of the chimichurri, we get a different bite. We bring the acid and the herbs to the party, and the acid is gonna cut some of that fat and make that fat taste, is gonna flavor a little bit differently. So acid with beef is something we don't think about a lot, but it really can be a really interesting and important component because of its kind of relationship with fat. And those herbs, the citrus.
The chimney really complements this meat well.
And this is how it would go down. It's just a bite here, a bite there. Let's make a combo, as Al calls it. Like, you might put some Provel, or like if you had a provoletta done, we might put a little piece of that on there.
A little provoletta on there.
A little pepper.
I'm gonna grab some pickled red onion. I'm gonna get one of these roasted red peppers that I love so much. And the olive oil. One of those.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And I gotta go back for the chimney. Yeah. I can just sit and do that all day. It's so good.